Hi, welcome to the Crypto Republic. Before we dive in, if you're serious about staying ahead in this once-in-a-lifetime financial shift, make sure you like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the Crypto Republic. Let's get right into it, folks, because this is one of those moments in crypto history that you're going to look back on and say, that's when everything changed. Ripple, yes, the same company that's been battling regulators, building cross-border rails, and quietly connecting the world's biggest financial institutions, just made a $1 billion move that could reshape global liquidity forever. I know that sounds dramatic, but stick with me, because when you actually connect the dots, when you see how this ties into Ripple's multi-year strategy, it's clear that this isn't just a purchase. It's a signal, a declaration, the quiet beginning of something that might rewrite the way money moves on Earth. All right, let's start here. Ripple didn't just randomly wake up one morning and decide to spend $1 billion on XRP. This is part of a pattern, a chessboard that's been forming for years, while the rest of the crypto world chased meme coins and halving cycles. You've seen it before in history. In 1904, John D. Rockefeller didn't announce his monopoly with fireworks. He bought up the refineries quietly. In the 1990s, Jeff Bezos didn't brag about owning the internet. He built the rails no one else thought mattered. Ripple's doing the same thing, except instead of oil or books, they're buying liquidity itself. And that $1 billion buy of XRP is not speculation, it's infrastructure. Ripple's not just accumulating, they're positioning. By purchasing XRP directly from the open market, they're not hoarding it. They're calibrating global supply for when institutional demand explodes. Because when the world's treasuries, corporations, and central banks start using XRP for settlement, they can't afford slippage, volatility, or illiquidity. Ripple's solving that before the floodgates open. Remember what happened during the 1800s California gold rush? Most miners went broke. The people who made money were the ones who sold the shovels. Ripple's building the shovels for the next digital gold rush, and they just sharpened them with $1 billion edge. Now here's where things get wild. Most people still see Ripple as a company that just does cross-border payments, but that's outdated thinking. Let's zoom out. Over the last 18 months, Ripple has strategically acquired companies that control the plumbing of global finance. First, it was Hidden Road, a $1.25 billion acquisition, giving Ripple instant access to institutional brokerage networks that move capital for hedge funds and major trading firms. Then came G-Treasury, a $1 billion purchase plugging Ripple directly into the world's largest corporate treasury management system. The same infrastructure Fortune 500 CFOs rely on to move trillions every year, and now a $1 billion accumulation of their own bridge asset, XRP, the heartbeat of the entire network. Think about what that means. Ripple now owns the rails that manage corporate liquidity, the broker that routes institutional flows, and the bridge asset that settles it all. That's not just a company, that's a shadow central bank of the Internet of Value. Let that sink in for a moment. For decades, we've relied on correspondent banking, a maze of intermediaries, slow, swift messaging, pre-funded accounts sitting idle around the world. It's an outdated relic from the Cold War era, the financial equivalent of sending faxes in an age of fiber optics. Ripple is tearing that down and replacing it with a system that runs 24/7, borderless, and frictionless. And every piece of this puzzle is intentional. That 1 billion XRP accumulation tightens liquidity supply and stabilizes volatility. The G-Treasury and Hidden Road acquisitions connect Ripple directly to institutional pipelines. The rumored stablecoin launch, RLUSD, provides the first anchor to balance the system. When you combine those three elements, XRP for speed, RLUSD for stability, and institutional rails for flow, you get something bigger than a payment network. You get the foundation for a new monetary layer. Now let me hit you with some historical context. In 1944 at Bretton Woods, 44 nations came together to rebuild the global economy after World War II. That's when the US dollar became the world's reserve currency. It wasn't just about gold. It was about trust, liquidity, and settlement. 80 years later, we might be watching the digital version of that same transition, except this time, instead of gold-backed paper, it's code-backed liquidity. And Ripple is sitting exactly where the Federal Reserve sat in 1944, at the intersection of every major flow of value. They're not just waiting for the future, they're architecting it. Now here's where everything comes together, and where I need you to really focus. Ripple's move isn't just about XRP's price, it's about positioning before activation. When the financial system shifts, and it's shifting, the first movers won't be the ones screaming on Twitter. They'll be the ones who already built the pipes. And Ripple has been doing exactly that while everyone was distracted by ETFs and halving hype. Let's look at the mechanics. When institutions adopt Ripple's on-demand liquidity ODL product at scale, they're going to need XRP, not as a speculative token, but as a settlement engine. That means trillions in daily volume could pass through Ripple's ecosystem, not once in a bull run, but continuously. That's what Charles Hoskinson was hinting at when he said volatility will die. When a real-world value moves through digital rails every second, speculation gives way to utility. That's when crypto stops being a casino and becomes the system. Ripple knows this. That's why they're tightening supply, expanding infrastructure, and preparing for the utility era of digital assets. Because once gold liquidity runs through XRP-powered rails, we won't be waiting for Bitcoin's 4-year cycles anymore. We'll have permanent liquidity flow, the heartbeat of the next financial system. And yes, the volatility will fade, but so will the window of opportunity. If you've ever wondered what it felt like to be early to the internet in 1995 or early to Apple before the iPhone, this is that moment. Except this time, it's not about data. It's about value itself. The same way TCP/IP standardized the transfer of information, XRP is standardizing the transfer of money. Think about that for a second. The internet connected humanity's ideas, now Ripple's connecting its wealth. So let's take a step back. Ripple's $1 billion XRP accumulation isn't random. It's strategic foresight. It's the digital equivalent of nations stockpiling gold before a currency reset. They're preparing for a world where money moves like email, instantly, globally, truthlessly, and they're making sure they control the rails that make it possible. From corporate treasuries to liquidity providers, from stablecoins to tokenized assets, everything points towards a single truth. XRP isn't that speculation anymore. It's the infrastructure. And when this system finally clicks into place, when the legacy banks, the IMF, and the Fortune 500s all tap into the RippleNet's backbone, the conversation won't be, will XRP go up? It'll be, how did we not see this coming? Because the groundwork is already laid. Liquidity stack is built. The $1 billion buy-up is the final piece before activation. Just like how railroads connected America's economy in the 1800s, Ripple is laying the tracks for the internet of value. And just like those early investors in steel and oil, the ones who recognized what was being built before it went mainstream, those are the ones who changed their lives forever. So when you see that chart flicker red, remember this: volatility fades, utility remains. Ripple's not chasing the market, they're building it, and we're watching it happen in real time. If you made it this far, you're part of the minority that actually gets it. You see the big picture, and you understand that this $1 billion move isn't a headline, it's a warning shot. The financial system's evolving, and the bridge asset of the future is already in play. So drop a comment below. Do you think Ripple's $1 billion XRP play is about controlling supply or preparing for institutional liquidity on ramps? Share this with someone who still thinks crypto's a game, because the next few months are going to get wild. Ripple isn't participating in the new financial system, they're building it. And for those paying attention, this is your early signal, the quiet before the global liquidity storm. If this opens your eyes, smash that like button, ring the bell, leave a comment with your thoughts, turn on notifications, and most importantly, subscribe to the Crypto Republic, bringing you the truth about XRP, global banking moves, and the wealth transfer already unfolding. Don't just watch history happen. Stay informed, stay ahead, stay in the Republic.